What's up? I hope you enjoyed that new intro. This week we're at the Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines. First, I'm going to give you an overview of the course. Then we're going to dive into the field. And then before I kick you on out of here, I'll leave you with my DraftKings plays and betting card. Let's get after it. So the Farmers Insurance Open features two courses, both a north and a south course. There's a 500-yard difference between the two, with the south being the longer course. Thursday and Friday, players will play each course, and then after the cut, it'll all be at the south course, which is also where the U.S. Open will be this summer. As far as weather goes this week, it's going to be wet early on, with rain forecast to arrive late on Thursday, and then you'll see the heaviest showers on Friday with a high only of 58. And then as the weekend rolls around, the sun comes out, highs stay in the upper 50s, so still pretty chilly. The San Diego weather has been really weird lately. They had to cancel some pre-tournament events because they were getting wind gusts up to 35 miles per hour. So all of this is still very much subject to change. Now let's get into the golfers. As you can see across the top, we have the golfer's name, their DraftKings salary, my grade of their projected fantasy points this week, their official world golf ranking, and finally their average fantasy points per week. Now my projected fantasy points and ownership that I will be referencing can all be found on my Patreon linked below. Patreon is where I will be posting my projections and ownership for the NBA, the upcoming Super Bowl, subsequent PGA events, and more going forward, as well as my cash lineup plays. Additionally, something cool for my first 20 Patreon subscribers, I will be putting you into an exclusive group chat with myself and other like-minded fantasy individuals where we can discuss all things DFS, sports, plays, and whatnot. You're going to want to sign up down below. Now, if we turn our focus to the golfers, Jon Rahm is back in the field after withdrawing last week. Seems like he just tweaked something small. Probably could have played through it if it was a bigger tournament, but he figured he'd rest up for Torrey Pines. Rahm is a past winner at the Farmers and is the highest projected player, but is also going to be carrying the highest ownership. Rory projects pretty solidly, but he's also dealing with a lot of jet lag. The man just flew from Dubai just a few days ago, pretty much as far away you can get from San Diego as possible. Tony Finau just finished fourth last week in the American Express and seems to be in pretty solid form. Patrick Reed at the American Express actually missed the cut. He had rounds of a double bogey and a triple bogey. Maybe that was a fluke. Maybe that's a sign of him not playing his best golf. On a point per dollar basis, Xander Schauffele projects the best of the 10K plus guys. However, I do have concerns about Xander's past struggles at Torrey Pines. Xander's from San Diego, and I don't know if he's hitting up an old ex-girlfriend when he's in town or what he's doing, but historically he has played his worst golf at Torrey Pines. He's missed the most cuts there. It's really unfathomable from what is usually a golfer who just produces steady, consistent play. If you share in that concern of mine, I think Harris English is a nice pivot. He's coming in at a cheaper price point and with lower ownership, and he already has a win this month. As for the rest of the 9K dudes, Sung Jae Im started out hot last week, but then he tailed off towards the weekend, ended up with a kind of disappointing finish. Brooks is our first non-A+, and with the big name he carries, I don't want to pay that top dollar price point and take on all of his ownership unless I'm getting an A+ top projection. And then you got Victor Hovland and Matsuyama, who also stand out as top guys in this range. Between the three of Hovland, Im, and Matsuyama, Matsuyama presents the highest value, while Im presents the best leverage. Moving down the list, we have Siwoo Kim coming off of last week's win. Bubba Watson is our first A-, And then Mark Leishman, defending champion, coming in at a B. Based on his past performance, Leishman is going to be coming in over-owned. And if he's only going to give me a B at that price point, I'm not going to be playing him. Jason Day carries a big name and another past winner designation, both of which he's going to be carrying on more ownership than I would like to take on, especially given Day's propensity to miss cuts. And then next we have Cameron Smith, Ryan Palmer, Adam Scott, and Billy Horschel, all of which stick out as great plays. Billy is the cheapest A+ in the entire field. Cameron Smith is going to be the lowest owned of the bunch. And any of these four guys can go out and win this Sunday. Ricky Fowler is a guy that I almost always avoid. I personally have found his entire career to be rather underwhelming at this point. I think he's got a lot of big name hype, results in high ownership that he really isn't that deserving of. And then rounding out the AKs, we have Louis Oosthuizen, who consistently competes in majors. And this is kind of almost like a major light. We have a strong field and a course that's going to be hosting an actual major this summer. So I expect that he'll perform pretty good this week. Then of the 7K guys, my top plays from this range are going to be those golfers carrying the A and B+ designations. Corey Connors and Jason Kokrak are just blatantly underpriced. And as such, the field of players is going to realize that, and they're going to have ownership upwards of 10%. Now, keep in mind, your average ownership is less than 4% based on you getting 6 golfers in a field of over 150. I find Taylor Gooch to be an interesting play. Just a few years back, he found himself in a playoff at Torrey Pines. And this is a course unlike most others where if you play good at Torrey Pines, genuinely you play good at Torrey Pines all the time. And likewise, if you play bad at Torrey Pines, you genuinely continue to play bad at Torrey Pines. We see a much higher correlation between Torrey Pines' past performance and future performance. Not as strong with other courses. In your large field tournaments, I think it's a really viable strategy to fill your lineup up with 8 and 7K golfers. So you get to spend just over 8.3K per golfer. And most people are going to jam in their stars, their John Rahm, their Xander Schauffele, and so on, and then run out of money and have to put in some scrubs at the bottom to hit falling under the salary cap. You could fill your entire lineup exclusively with 8 and 7K golfers. They all make the cut. One of them wins. A lot of them are competitive. You could take home a huge GPP because you're going to be, number one, not duplicated. And number two, you're going to have a shit ton of leverage on the field. Continuing on, John Ha projects well and is coming off a solid week. But he is carrying a lot of ownership for a 7K guy. So I think if you're looking to pivot here, I think a great option is Tom Hogue at $100 cheaper and significantly lower ownership. Is a great driver off the tee, which is a necessity to avoid the thick rough and OB found at Torrey Pines. And all the way down at 6,500, Johnny Vegas, very fitting name for betting, provides great value while garnering pretty low ownership. And then if we were to go further, below 6.5K, I simply have no interest in the remaining players. They have too high of a chance of missing the cut. And sure, one of these guys might get a top 10 finish, but if one of these guys misses the cut for you, you're missing out on 36 holes of obtaining points. I simply don't think you need to go here, nor should you. And now, what you've been waiting for, my picks, starting with my top dogs, John Rahm. And yes, I caved. Xander Schauffele made the list. I know. I guess one way or the other, he's getting his balls wet. Harris English, Billy Horschel, go Gator, and Adam Scott. And then my value plays. First off, we got Johnny Vegas, John Huh, Tom Hogue, Corey Connors, and finally Cameron Tringale. And lastly, where the boys become men, where you pick up leverage on the field and where you take home those big field GPPs. Tony Finau, Sung J M, Cameron Smith, Pat Perez, and Patrick Rogers. Hey, if you stuck with me this long, I figured might as well include my betting card for this week. Now, most of these guys are long shots. Don't run out and take out a second mortgage to put it on these. But if you could find these odds, I used Odds Checker to get the best available odds. And you want to sprinkle a few bucks? These are some guys worth considering. First, we got Ryan Palmer, who has 2 top 5s in his last 3 PGA Tour appearances. He also finished 21st last year at the Farmers, 13th the year prior, and in 2018 was in a playoff. Louis Oosthuizen, who's seemingly always in contention when he plays in majors. This is a major light. Bubba Watson. Bubba's weakness is his putter, but he kills every other aspect of the game. If he gets the putter hot, 50-1, he could win. Then we have Harris English, who's playing great golf in January, coming off a win 2 weeks ago. He could win. And then finally, we have Taylor Gooch, who in 2019 finished tied for 3rd at the Farmers Open. So that's it. That's all I got. Make sure to follow me on Twitter for more plays, more cash plays, and more information. It's listed above, the DFS tutor. Check out my Patreon for the in-depth rankings, ownership projections for not only golf, but also basketball and the Super Bowl coming up. And that's about it. So get the hell out of here.